What's up? It's your boy Carcino here, and let's talk about this because it needs to be discussed. We have a situation with Isaiah Thomas in a timetable. The Cleveland Cavaliers, who acquired him earlier this year, in what's the biggest news in the NBA, is Isaiah Thomas to Kyrie Irving, which brought Jay Crowder, Zivic, and another draft pick after reevaluating Isaiah Thomas and giving him his physical. They decided that the trade was good once they got, another draft pick out of it from Boston to go ahead and complete this trade because Isaiah Thomas was not as far along as they thought, and he would be out for some time. So if you were looking to pick him in fantasy basketball, I would not pick up Isaiah Thomas if I was you. See, a labrum tear is a labrum tear is a muscle that's attaching the hip bone to the leg, and it makes it very hard to walk. It makes it very hard to do a lot of things. Your hip bone really is so vital to your to playing sports, and you've seen, um, Bo Jackson just completely tear his hip apart because he drove with so much, force. But playing basketball, some people sustain this hip injury and to a point where they could return. And the way Isaiah Thomas is, the way he played, because it attaches that, the hip is attaching that femur bone. And no, I'm not a doctor, but that's what it does. Um, what it does is, the way he drives and plays basketball, he's subject to get knocked back to the floor, going to the hole and falling down. How many falls did Isaiah Thomas have? Because he lives a dangerous life because he keeps splitting the defenders. When you go to the basket and with reckless abandon as much as he does, like Allen Iverson, you're going to suffer a lot of injuries being a smaller player going up against these giants. And the Cavs, they had announced their concerns early on about his hip, to try to get something out of it, but they're very adamant that he's going to return and be able to help the team out. But just in case, they got Derrick Rose, so they should be okay. And Isaiah Thomas is out to prove something to people because he's like, people are writing him off as damaged goods, and it's aggravating him. And said that I might not be back as soon this season as everybody wants me to be, but I'm going to be back, and I'm going to be the same player again. No doctor has ever told me anything different than that. So he's wondering like who are the writers and sports writers to contest that. Now, regarding his injury to his labrum, he decided that surgery wasn't the best option in this case, and that he had, he consulted with the doctors of Kelly at a hospital of special surgeons who widely considered one of the best authorities on this injury. And he told him he had seen worser hips than his with guys who had played at a high level and had great careers his entire life, but was any of them 5'6", getting knocked back to the floor. So during, part of his, let me tell you guys about his process of recovery. Uh, like in September, he was cleared to run in what they call a gravity eliminated treadmill. And what it does is it eliminates gravity, so it puts no pressure on you, but it gives you the the motion of moving without putting your weight actually on your legs, but it's good for exercising, like in the pool as well. And then there's stretching, and then there's light on court activity. So sometime after the All-Star break is like the timetable, but don't hold him to that. Like he could be out even longer. It might come back right before the playoffs. Now, the fact that he has progressed enough to where he can run on a gravity eliminated treadmill is a big improvement to his rehab status, you know. And the fact is, if they get to play with Derrick Rose as the starter for a lot of times, using Calderon as a backup, they still should be okay. And having Isaiah Thomas come back into the fold before the season ends or playing 30 games or what have you might be best or beneficial to them. Again, once again, that labrum is nothing but a ring of cartilage. Okay? That's it. It's what holds that hip bone there. It's the joint that keeps it there. Most people get that the cartilage, they get a when they get a hip replacement surgery, they get a ring. We used to make these rings at our company that we used to work for. Small East steel ring. It was a spiral wave rings or retaining ring. And what they would do is get one pure silver retaining ring and put it in your leg when you get hip replacement surgery. It keeps that hip in place, goes around it. That's what the cartilage does. Is keep that hip fluent, keep it in place. Well, a lot of athletes have had this injury, as I'm reading the email I'm getting right now. So I'm answering a lot of your questions right here that had about Isaiah Thomas. Um, Here's the thing: a lot of people from baseball players, hockey players have had this injury. Hockey players, it happens more frequently with than anybody because they get knocked on their butt, they get knocked on the ice, they're banging their hips all the time. Football players, they get it from time to time, and they get a hip pointer. Blake Griffin, I think, in the NBA had this injury. I don't know how bad it was before, but I think he had like a hip pointer, but it wasn't like a complete tear to the point where he would need surgery. Now, here's the thing that Boston was upset about. Boston preferred he had surgery. Doctors from Boston, their team doctor, and everybody there suggested surgery, you know, or it's going to be a longer timetable if you don't have the surgery. So here's Isaiah Thomas. Keep him on the team, and you know Boston knows he's not going to be ready till about half of the season's gone. So you're going into the season next year without Isaiah Thomas coming back to possibly after the All-Star break. Why would you keep him on the team? When he comes back, you guys are going to probably be so far out of the playoffs, it's not going to make a difference. Then he's got to get back in game shape. So basically, all next season's gone. So all the momentum you just had is just wiped out. So that's all. That's all that means. Hopefully everything could work out for Isaiah Thomas and he comes back to form and being great again. I don't like the Cleveland Cavaliers, but Isaiah Thomas is a good-hearted human being, and I hope, wish nothing but the best for him. And hopefully he can come back to having a career in the NBA because mostly guys his size don't make it in this league. So good luck to him. I'm out.